I watched episode one of Cowboy Bebop. Um, you know, I love that song that is used in the opening. Uh, I don't know. I really like the style of this first episode. Like, I guess it's going to be very promising. It has sci-fi. It has western. It has very cool jazz and blues music, and very interesting characters, but most importantly, very impressive action scenes. It surprised me how well made those action sequences were made. Uh, you know, I just felt the rush of those fights, and the music included in those fights of the first episode really surprised me in a good way, in the best way possible. So I'm excited for what's next. I watched this episode in its original audio, Japanese, and with English subtitles. So yeah, I'm going to watch the rest of the episodes in the same way. I watched episode two of Cowboy Bebop. Um, so this episode was about uh, Spike, the protagonist, going to get a very specific target, and in this case, he ended up having a dog, a corgi, Welsh corgi. Uh, it was nice. I think I preferred the first episode, but I like this one especially because of how beautiful it looked, like the animals. There were many animals animated in this episode, and I don't know. It was just like satisfying to watch this episode. So pretty much, I don't really have anything much else to say for what was this second episode of Cowboy Bebop. Uh, it was that, like, I really like how cool the animated creatures look like. I, I was surprised. It's very nice. How you say it, like contrast of the nature in the animals in comparison to how it looks. Everything very human made, very urbanized. In the cities where the dog was running away, and where there was like a persecution, another persecution. So, yep, I wonder what's going to be next. Also, something extra to say is that this one felt very episodic. Like, I don't. It's not clear of what's going to be the narrative of the entire uh, anime. I'm assuming that very specific dog is going to give something big, or I wouldn't be surprised if it's something that it was only for that episode and maybe one more. So, yep, I'm still very unclear of what's going to be the entire uh, show of Cowboy Bebop going to be about. I finished watching episode 3 of Cowboy Bebop. Uh, it was a it was above average, like good enough. Like you know, in this time, there was a casino which looks very nice, and like another new character was introduced, Faye Valentine, I think that was her name. I mean, I like the new places that I'm discovering in this anime, and the new characters that are appearing. So I guess for this episode and a couple more episodes, it's going to be the same concept of introducing new characters, new places, and new artifacts that are going to help develop the entire narrative of this anime, Cowboy Bebop. So I guess it's taking its time to establish everything that I need to know about this anime. So I think I will allow it for a couple of more episodes. Yep, it's still very nice to see some of that action with mixed with the jazz music. So very nice. Also, like I felt that episode had visual references to 2001: A Space Odyssey. Very nice. I watched episode 4 of Cowboy Bebop. Yep, this was a much bigger episode. Oh, sorry, I was joining. Well, now, yeah, I was like now dealing with the weird lady and her group, trying to send the monkey virus, and suddenly Spike's team was able to kind of get away from that. You know, I really like the battle. Technically, it was a battle, but the hyperspace battle. It was like, wow, it's something that even Star Wars has never made before. Like, you know, that's something that it surprised me how good it was, that thing. And yeah, I think it's becoming a little bit clearer of what can be the entire narrative of this anime be like. So yeah, it's nice the Fae is in some sense now going to be part of Spike's team. I wonder what's going to be next. I watched Cowboy Bebop episode 5. Yeah, like I'm surprised how much trust is given Spike and the others to Faye Valentine. Like they barely know her, and Spike almost died trying to rescue her. And Murdoch, I think that's the name of that very evil guy who killed a couple of men at the beginning. Like he could be like a very interesting villain for the entire anime. I mean, yep. I wonder what it's going to be next still. But as I told you, I'm a little surprised. Like they already trust way too much each other. Spike to Faye, and the other guy who is with Spike since the beginning. I watched episode 6 of Cowboy Bebop. Well, that was a very peculiar villain. You know, that I don't have pretty much else to say. Yeah, I don't know. It was weird to see like a small kid being defeated by Spike. And now finally remember that the name of that guy who looks like Wolverine, uh, who is Spike's partner. I would say like he looks like Wolverine, but without hair on his top of his head. I think his name is Jet Black. So okay, yeah. I mean, it was a nice episode. Pretty much very episodic. I watched episode 7 of Cowboy Bebop. It was very nice, like it's, as I have mentioned before, very episodic. Teamwork, Spike, Faye, Jet Black, then this woman, that queen of heavy metal. Yeah, it was very entertaining to watch them, to watch those guys working together to catch the guy with the dragon tattoo. I watched episode 8 of Cowboy Bebop. I think this is probably my favorite episode so far. Like, yeah, I think it was very good. Cowboy Bebop were in a commercial flight. Suddenly there were those criminals trying to kidnap the airplane, especially catch Rococo. But yeah, nothing but happened. Rococo was like an admirer of Spike, and Spike just was teaching him, and like Rococo wanted to help his sister to get her eyesight fixed. So it's like, but sadly he died, and it's a very emotional in some sense. Yeah, I guess as I told you, I really like everything that happened in this episode. I wanted to make something good. Every character of of this episode. Want it to be good, and and I mean the main characters, not the airplane enemies or flight enemies from the beginning. But yeah, wonderful episode. I watched episode 9 of Cowboy Bebop, and it was very cool to see another character joining the group. So in this case, it was Ed, the hacker. And yep, Spike, Jet Black, Faye had to work together also with Spike to get the artificial intelligence, from the satellite. So yeah, a very good episode. I watched episode 10 of Cowboy Bebop. It was very nice. It gave another layer of complexity, especially in the character Jet Black. He visited the planet where his ex was present, and then, finding out why his ex left him, and then taking that choice of, should I eliminate the the boyfriend of the ex, or maybe do the best, something a better option with him. And luckily he let him get arrested and probably have the chance to be free because of self-defense. So yeah, it was a very nice episode that shows that things are not easy for any character. In this case, Jet Black. Maybe it will be like that for the other characters of Cowboy Bebop. I watched episode 11 of Cowboy Bebop. I think this episode was very interesting because I almost felt that I was watching like a reboot of the movie Alien, directed by Ridley Scott. This wasn't an action episode. It was more like a horror mystery episode. Like, that was a very interesting concept. But yeah, hopefully those characters are going to come back to life. Yeah, it just felt so weird. Like, basically all these characters died in some sense, but I don't think that's going to happen because there are many episodes left. And yeah, maybe it shows you how weird things can be in this anime. And well, it was nice watching this episode. That's what I want to say. Hopefully, what is next is good as well. I watched Cowboy Bebop episode number 12, and it was nice. This character Vicious, I guess that is going to be like the main. Sorry, I was joining. Yeah, Vicious, I think he was going to be the next. Well, the main antagonist, to the Cowboy Bebop crew. And it's very curious that this episode is the first part out of two, I think, from really things of that I guess it's going to be worth watching. To be honest, I don't have a lot to say, but yeah, I think it's reaching that point that I don't find anything so new. So I'm like finding out already, getting used to the rules of this war. I watched episode 13 of Cowboy Bebop. I mean, I guess it was okay. Finally part two of these two parts and narrative. And to be honest, I wasn't that interested or that engaged with what was happening. Like those guys were too new, and it felt like so tragic when one of them passed away. And I don't know, I was feeling like disconnected from this Cowboy Bebop episode. Well, I guess there are ups and downs in everything, including this, and I respect that. I watched episode 14 of Cowboy Bebop. Yeah, this was much better than the previous episode. Like the previous episode, I didn't feel so connected. I was disconnected. Like
it's a character that died, but I barely knew him. Now this episode was funny and I was like much better. Just it's like very chill, very clear of hey, there's this chess master, and then the crew wants to find him, and he has a little bit of style, finding Ed playing chess against the chess master. It was just like very fun and simple, and you know, it was just worth watching. And yep, it just like makes me wonder what's going to be next in the next episodes of Cowboy Bebop in a good way. Like it feels everything very episodic, for better or for worse. I watched episode 15 of Cowboy Bebop, and I'm happy because it is probably my favorite episode of Cowboy Bebop so far, and probably my favorite anime episode ever. Yeah, it was very nice. It's titled My Funny Valentine, and it was very interesting. It's a very cool origin story of one of the main characters of the anime, and it's like interesting. Like feeling lost, and then trying to understand the new world, and then trying to find your own way even after finding many lies, and it was very cool, like also like get the resolution of one of a main of a important character to Faye Valentine. Yeah, it was very entertaining. It was easy to understand, very simple and direct, and it was like many things happening in the best way possible. And with that, you have a clear idea of what is the past, the present, the future. I almost dare to say it was like philosophical of oh no, what is my identity? Who am I? What am I going to do? What I have done, and like all the characters were uh, very interested to Faye Valentine, and Faye Valentine was very interested to the other characters. Yep, I love this episode. I hope the next episodes are like that or even much better. Yep, very nice. Thank you. I watched episode 16 of Cowboy Bebop. It was a decent episode, you know. So you find out why Jet Black. He doesn't. Oh, sorry. So you find out why Jet Black has a missing arm. I mean, yeah, it was a very serious episode, and I still would you get interested of how things are becoming clear. Um, but I must admit, I just feel like that kind of episode I have watched before. Like I don't know, I don't feel I missed a lot. And it's funny because the previous episode, Faye Valentine origin story, it was very entertaining, very very nice. And this one was more like darker, more serious, you know, more steady. I watched episode 17 of Cowboy Bebop, and I really like this episode. I think it's one of my favorite episodes. Probably like, yeah, I think I still prefer my funny Valentine than this one of that mushroom. But I still really, really like the mushroom episode. Like, I think it's my second favorite one. Or even my first one. I don't know. But the point is that I really love this episode. And it was just very entertaining, like suddenly you can say it was like a little bit psychedelic, those characters, the main crew, like being suffering hunger, and then trying the mushroom that gave them bad trips, or not so bad trips, but still. And then Ed and the dog. I think the dog's name is Ein. I don't know how to pronounce it properly. Well, I thought it was very cool and funny how they were running and trying to chase for the bounty. And I just, when I saw the way that it runs, lifting up his arms all the way when he's running, when he's lifted up arms from one side to another. I'm like, oh, I love that animation, that way of running. I think it's even much cooler than Naruto style of running. But yeah, it's just like it was very cool, and then uh, Ed and the dog were able to catch after the train chase. They were able to catch Domino, and they got the mushrooms, which were actually not hallucinogenic mushrooms, but they were finally defeated their hunger with a lot of mushrooms. I watched episode 18 of Cowboy Bebop, and I thought it was a very beautiful episode. You know, it was like a very surprising and beautiful ending. Yeah, and it felt nostalgic in every sense of the word. So it was pretty much Faye Valentine, who was like, "Oh, I'm going to the racing track to be betting on horses and dogs," while Spike and Jet Black, they were searching for the Betamax machine that will be able to play that and maybe find a lot of value in that object, be able to sell it for a high price. But they struggled to get the right Betamax player, and eventually they got it in a funny way, just like they got the Betamax by delivery, package delivery. And then Faye Valentine and all that team reunites, and they see what's in the Betamax, and it's simply like a memory, a recorded memory of Faye Valentine when she was a young girl, and like just speaking very happy and positive to the camera. So it's like, oh wow, like, I mean, it's not like, well, it's not like wow, the most dramatic thing ever, but it's just like something that, wow, I really appreciate things like that from this anime. Like one episode can be like chasing the for the bounty hunter, another episode can be like a little bit chaotic or serious or dark, but sometimes it can also be something beautiful, like exploring the memories of somebody. I watched Cowboy Bebop episode 19. I guess it was fine. Like, I didn't love it or I didn't hate it. It was like a good, interesting plot of, the virus, computer virus. And then in the end, there was like a very cool action sequence, I dare to say. Then, you know, I dare to say it's like the average Cowboy Bebop episode. Yep, I'm waiting for the next episode. I watched episode 20 of Cowboy Bebop. I like this episode. I really like it, and it was very cool. Like this interesting villain named Pierre Le Fou. I think it's a reference to that excellent, beautiful, brilliant Jean-Luc Godard movie, Pierre Le Fou. And yep, it's like, I don't know. It's an episode that I will never forget. I feel sure like it's a very interesting episode villain, and an interesting situation of almost killing Spike, and then Spike is going to chase him in an amusement park, and the amusement park looked very interesting, very nice to be or not to be. And yeah, and I think also like, when they got injured, those two characters, I was like, oh, even I almost felt that it hurt me too. I felt the pain of when Spike got injured, and then that Pierre Le Fou got seriously injured, and then smashed by the animatronic. I guess that's how you say it. Yeah, very good episode, very good. I don't have anything else to say, but hoping more good episodes like this from Cowboy Bebop. I watched episode 21 of Cowboy Bebop. It was a nice, well, it was a tragic thing, so I don't want to say nice. I mean, it was a good episode in all its senses. in every single sense. That's what I want to say. And it was like, oh, very curious situation, jet black, suddenly this woman who is a little bit mystical, let's say, very young woman, it seems, she seems, and then, it's like, helping her to find her father, but sadly, it seems that they were kind of capable to find him one last time for him and his daughter say goodbye to each other. Yep, that's sad, but well, still a very excellent episode.
I watched episode 22 of Cowboy Bebop. It was an amazing, excellent, and beautiful episode. One of my favorites so far. Not only of this anime, but of any anime in human history. Yeah, it was very cool. Like that character, the cowboy, who was like, and then Spike. They were facing each other, trying to catch the criminal who likes to put a lot of explosives. Oh, I mean explosives. I don't know why I struggle to pronounce that. For me, maybe because it's a very horrifying word to use. Explosives. Yeah, it was very cool, entertaining. Like you found a lot of things happening in this episode in a very good pace. Not rush, not slow. It was just the perfect timing of every single tiny detail. Yep, it was very cool. Like, and also, I'm aware that between this episode and in the next one, there's the movie, but I think I'm just going to watch the next episode, finish the series, and then watch the movie. Uh, yep. I don't know what else I want to say about this episode of Cowboy Bebop. I think I like it. Like I'm just like reflecting that how curious it is this anime in the sense that you could say it's like episodic. Like I was thinking there was going to be like a main antagonist. I think the one that I thought he could be was Vicious, but I don't think he was a guy who was going to be in many episodes. And now there's like this explosives guy who maybe he could be like a very interesting choice for final villain, but or maybe the cowboy can be like an evil guy from what I understood at the end of this episode. But yeah, I'm very excited to watch the rest of the episodes of Cowboy Bebop. Yep, I watched episode 23 of Cowboy Bebop. It was another excellent episode from this anime. Yeah, I just found it a little bit funny. It's like the episode starts with, "Oh, Faye Valentine is now a member of this cult in which people upload their spirit into the internet." And I'm like, "Oh, well, okay." I would have like an explanation of how Faye Valentine ended up there, but well, more details about that. But no worries, it's still very entertaining, and it's like a weird episode antagonist because it's like, yeah, we need to find him even though he's not really a lot in the physical world, and he said like ideas of, oh yeah, the body is just an object, an instrument, and people need to actually live only as the spirit and free of everything, like but yeah, it was cool that Spike was able to not get infected by by the cult leader, and then Jet Black and Ed and even the dog Ein, they were able to find their way to find like the veget, sorry, I think you pronounce it as vegetative state of the cult leader, which I'm like, oh, so the cult leader is actually like a kid who was in a coma. So, yep, I really like this episode, and little by little, Cowboy Bebop is reaching the end. Uh, I'm really liking the anime. I'm being honest, so I'm very curious of how's everything going to end.
I watched episode 24 of Cowboy Bebop. And yeah, I'm getting the very strong feeling that things are coming to an end with this anime. Uh, so you find Faye Valentine trying to revisit the places where she was filmed when she was young, and then finding an old woman from the same generation than Faye Valentine. That was surprising. And then you find Ed, who is trying to find the father, and I guess her pronoun is she. So she was able to get the help from the crew to find her father and finally leave the Cowboy Bebop team. And also the dog is joining Ed, you know. So yeah, it just feels sad that that those characters are leaving. I don't know, maybe also Faye Valentine, maybe Jet Black, maybe Spike can be the next people to leave. Yeah. If I remember correctly, the next episodes, the last two episodes are connected. So it's part one, part two. There's also the movie, which I think I'm going to watch it. I don't know when, maybe like in a week or something. I'm just like, just thinking of, oh wow, how interesting, how long has been this journey with those wonderful characters who have been in many different situations, good moments and bad moments. So, yep, the end is coming, and I don't know what to say. Maybe it's just like, I just think it feels sad that I'm about to finish watching this anime. I have watched episode 25 of Cowboy Bebop. Yep, it is very clear that things are coming to an end, and yeah, it was like, I just find it funny. Well, not funny, but very suspicious of there's almost no music. Things are getting very serious. Important characters like Vicious and Julia are here, and I guess that's why Ed and Ayn were living in the crew. So, in order to experience this tragedy that is going to affect the adults like Spike, Faye, and Jet Black. I don't know. I'm like getting scared of what's going to be next in this incredible anime. I also wanted to say that it was very cool. All those massacres that happened, like I was like very surprised of wow, those things, those gunfights. I mean, gunfights, spaceship fights. Even sword fights. I was like, wow, this is like looking a little intense, too much intense. But yep, now I wonder what it's going to be like to watch the final episode of Cowboy Bebop. I watched episode 26 of Cowboy Bebop, also known as the last episode or the final episode. And yes, it was what I thought it was going to be. I guess that kind of stuff was going to happen if you get in a very dangerous lifestyle of being a gunfighter, a bounty hunter, someone involved in the mafia, let's say. In this case, it was Spike who wanted to find Julia, and sadly, Julia and Spike were threatened to death by Vicious. And sadly, Julia was killed. And after that, Spike is like, well, I need to get my revenge and eliminate Vicious. Even though Faye Valentine and even Jet Black, they were like, well, especially Faye Valentine was like, please don't do it. No, you need to leave the past away. The past away, you know. Jet Black was more conscious about, well, you can do whatever you want, I guess. At least he was able to say goodbye. But yeah, it was a sad ending, sadly. But well, yeah, it was a very dangerous lifestyle. I mean, I think, well, I'm something strange. I think that's the nicest way to say about this anime. Is like it's almost like 26 episodes. I would say like 4 to 5 at most of these episodes are involved like about Spike and being with Julia and Vicious and all those guys. But the rest of the episodes, it's simply like the crew trying to catch the bounty. Experiencing many different things. I mean, it's something very interesting about this anime. Like, maybe if there was more presence of the antagonist, the more presence of Julia, I think it will have been more painful for me to watch the ending. Like, I mean, it was still sad, but I feel like I still felt a little bit indifferent, a little bit distant about what happened in the ending. Me, maybe at most, the thing that hurt the most was watching Spike dying. Because like, oh no, I watched him all these 26 episodes, but now he's gone. But well, yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting how it was like it was literally more about Spike, Jet Black, Faye Valentine, Ed and Ein, and then once in a while there will be a reference of Julia and Vicious and all those people who wanted to kill Spike. But well, very outstanding anime, very excellent. Many fight scenes, many chase scenes. Very interesting moments that could be even experimental themselves. It's an anime, a TV show that I will never forget that I have watched in the best way possible. So thank you to all the people who created this incredible anime called Cowboy Bebop. Bonus, I really like the music.
I watched Cowboy Bebop the movie, and I thought it was very good. Like it was worth watching. It's something very interesting just to find out how it changes from being a 22-minute episode to like more than 90 minutes episode, let's say. Well, I know it's a movie, but still, it's very cool that it has more time for things to get developed and explore more characters and explore more things that could happen. Yep, it was very intense, very interesting. It was very worth watching, and I like that it gives like an explanation why suddenly things change a lot from episode 22 to episode 23. I was like, wait, how did Faye Valentine ended up there? Like, so, yep, very good movie, very worth watching, especially if you like Cowboy Bebop.